Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. I'm Dan Selcke. I'm the host of Take the Black with Daniel Roman over there, and we are both the editors on winteriscoming.net. And this show is the show where we talk about all things House of the Dragon, Star Wars, robots, space lasers, sci-fi, fantasy, movies, TV, etc., and so forth. Everybody, welcome to the party. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Julie. And hey, Daniel. How are you
What's
doing
up?
today?
I'm doing pretty good today. It's been a while since we've talked about things like robots and space lasers. We've been all about the dragons lately. So
Yeah, we have.
I had a nice little pang of joy when I heard you just do that intro and talk about all the space lasers we will discuss today. Yeah.
We'll
but
have some
I'm
space
good.
lasers
How are
stuff, yeah.
you?
I'm pretty good.
We will.
It's getting a little cooler here in Chicago, so I'm wearing. I've been trying to to not have to wear layers. I'm really against layers because it's like a sign of the impending cold. But I broke down today and I'm wearing an undershirt, which means that there's no going back, and it's like 50 something. So no more flip flops.
I feel that.
No more single layer garments. It's sweaters and proper shoes from here on out.
That's where we are now. The watch begins. I've had to I begrudgingly put my sandals up on the shoe rack this week because we're past the point where it's comfortable to wear them.
Sometimes there's a surprise, like weird spike, like an October weekend where it's just like 70 for no good. Well, not no reasons, because the planet is slowly boiling like a tomato in a stock pot. But that can happen, and I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. So definitely, this is the weather. We're just going to talk about the weather for 50 minutes today. So
it's really compelling.
It is.
I wonder what the weather is like in Westeros.
Ooh, I bet it's not winter. Nobody's really talked about the seasons at all in this new House of the Dragon show. They are not concerned whether winter is coming.
I mean, surely there's been like a winter in the 15 years we've covered at some point. But I mean, there's winter. Comes and goes. It's fine.
Yeah, I kind of want to call some shenanigans on that. How have we seen 15 years go by and no one's talked about winter once? What are you doing there, House of the Dragon?
They're on the south.
Where's my realism?
It doesn't hurt them as much.
That's true.
South. Only the Northerners really care.
That's true.
And we'll get them later.
Yeah.
But what's up in the wide world of Westeros, Daniel, beyond the weather?
Beyond the weather, what else even matters? No, just kidding. Ratings probably matter. House of the Dragon is just continuing to kill it in the ratings. Episode 6 was up 3%.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So HBO, good job. Because clearly people like this show you made. So
I want to be a cynic.
That's the big one. Yeah. Be a cynic. What's your cynical hot take?
I want to be. It's resisting me. I want to be a cynic and say that the ratings can't go up the entire season. They have to come down at some point. And my cynical take this time is maybe all the people who are thrown off by the time change won't come back next week. But I keep being wrong. So maybe you can just go up the entire season and bigger than it ever has been and just continue for the entire show until the series finale in season 3 or 4 is the biggest episode of history in the history of TV.
Well, that'd be cool. And Jeff Bezos cries bitter tears into his coffee.
Is it wrong to take schadenfreudic pleasure in the way House of the Dragon is beating the Rings of Power, or should we divorce from that?
It's hard. I was thinking about this morning because I like the Rings of Power, but I'm not really very gripped by it. We got the screeners this week for both the next episode of Rings of Power, the next episode of House of the Dragon. My reaction to Rings of Power was, oh, maybe something will happen in this one. That's literally what I said out loud when I saw the email. And my reaction to House of the Dragon was, oh my God, how can I focus on anything else until I watch this?
Tonight.
And it's fascinating. I want both of these shows to do well, but Can we take pleasure in House of the Dragon crushing it? Maybe, but will it make us worse people? I mean, that's Westeros. So
Now, I've always said you just, as long as my philosophy is, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, it's okay to indulge a little bit of your less than socially acceptable instincts. And just my
okay.
Scorpio rising persona wants there to be a winner in any kind of confrontation. I can't help it. I want them both
That's
to do
fair.
well too, but I also am a messy which likes drama, and I like conflict, and I like the idea that there's two shows going up against each other, and I want there to be a winner, even if I know it's not really the most harmonious thing for everybody to like love, hold hands, and love, but I think it's fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't really hurt anybody, so I'm okay with indulging it just a little bit. And it has been nice to see the other one smash it.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty fair, and it's kind at this point. I think it's safe to say House of the Dragon is winning this round of the Rumble. But you know, about your ratings quandary, your rating cynicism, that's kind of interesting that you say like it can't keep going the whole season, can it? I almost feel like the time jumps are going to really work for it in the back half of the season, because there's one more coming. We're going to talk about it on this show. There's one more big time jump that we know is coming this season. And I almost think on the one hand, there was a worry of, will people follow this show through this time jump and these recasts? It's so confusing. On the other hand, it makes it feel kind of like an event, because it's like you only get an episode or two before you know some big, crazy, mind-bending thing is going to happen where there are going to be new cast members and a new status quo.
They've made it work.
So yeah,
for
it's
them,
interesting. At this point, yeah, it doesn't even matter if the ratings dip an episode or two at this point, because it's just consistently gone up for more than half the season.
Oh, some great comments. We got Cassandra over on the YouTube with an excellent name that would suggest prophecy. Will they cancel next season of Rings of Power because the ratings viewership is bad? I believe they already okayed it and they're already making it, so that one is happening. I do wonder if they regret it, but it looks like that one is going forward no matter what. Julie isn't decided if she likes House of Dragon more than Game of Thrones. I think that is a little bit too early to call. Just, you know, not even let's do a first season first. But I mean, God, I never. My mind is blown that it could be a competitor. Like, I'm very happy about that. I wasn't sure if it would even come close. As Jackie says, only watching House of the Dragon first, Rings of Power, and I'm interested, so wait on watching. Yeah, that's fair. And as Nicole says, House of the Dragon is my favorite series of this year into the most recent episode. Ooh, that time jump, great transition.
Ooh.
So Nicole did not like the time jump, threw me for a complete loop. It felt like I was watching a totally different show. I'm hoping it wins me back over in the upcoming episodes. So that's a good thing to start off, because this is definitely the biggest thing they've done so far that has been, I mean, the biggest risk. I mean, daughter, niece, uncle date in a brothel, not as big of risk as swapping your actors mid-season. So maybe it's not just because
retaining viewership. Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely a bolder move. Now maybe it's because you and I were just so primed because we knew about it. We knew exactly who was going to be replaced. It's hard for us to kind of look at it with like an objective or an unsullied perspective. It worked for me, but because I knew it was coming so thoroughly that it worked for you. Although there were things that I thought, I mean, that threw me a bit, but overall, I guess I was so ready for it, didn't really bother me. But it's interesting to know that it did bother Nicole, that it threw her for a loop. I wonder if that's common. What do you think, Dan? What do you think out there? Do you think it's common? Do you have any friends who were like saying, I didn't enjoy it either?
Most people that I've talked to have enjoyed the time jump. I could totally see Nicole's perspective. And I'm sure, Nicole, that you are not alone. I'm sure a lot of people were confused by it too. But most people I've talked to were a little confused, but also just like, oh my God, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe what they changed. So confused, more like intrigued and confused, as opposed to confused and turned off. I think is the slightly more common reaction that I've seen. But again, that's only in my limited sphere. Cassandra says she was fine with it without reading the books. So a lot of it's going to come down to taste, but I do think Nicole's point about it almost feeling like a different show. I could see that a little bit, especially because the dynamic really changes a lot when you have adult Rhaenyra and adult Allison kind of wrangling their own individual families. I miss Paddy Considine when he wasn't all old and getting left behind on the stairs, when he wasn't the crypt keeper. Yes. It'll be fascinating to see how people take to that throughout the rest of the season. And then obviously season 2 is going to be a totally different ballgame without all these time jumps, presumably.
I mean, and there's the jump should stop. Like, they're not going to replace Rhaenyra or Allison again. Like, they're set. No. They're good. I had one friend the other night who told me that she liked this better, and she hasn't read the books or anything like that. She's been watching Hot D, as of course we call it, my circle of friends.
Nice, not. Very nice.
And she said that I am back on the Hot D train because I liked it more now that they're adults. She was more compelled by it, which is interesting to me. I have seen some different reactions. I've seen people online. I have some people who said they were confused by it. I've seen folk who said they loved it. They were really like the new stuff.
Yes.
And it's hard to parse it out. I mean, obviously, generally speaking, it's going over well. There hasn't been any kind of giant backlash. But yeah, of course, some people who aren't acclimating as well as others. And there are some, like my friend, who apparently like it better because I guess they were looking for a less teenager versus teenager conflict.
Yeah, which is fair. I think, Game of Thrones had the teenager versus teenager conflict, but it was rarely teenagers in isolation. Like, it had so many characters. It was multi-generational in terms of having characters of different ages, so that it didn't feel like we were exploring teenage drama the way this did, where specifically there's a thing about these two teenage girls, their relationships. I could see that someone maybe being more compelled now that we're in adult territory, and things are presumably going to get even juicier. But I
am looking forward to this next one. I want to watch it. I'll watch it later tonight. Let's see. As Nicole says, I really would have enjoyed a whole season with the two younger female leads. Young Rhaenyra and Daemon had so much chemistry, it was unreal. That is true.
Yeah.
As Maggle Rebecca says, time hop was expected, so it didn't bother me at all. They made her very convincing, but it was weird to her softer and the queen more hard. I liked it, though. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I did think I bought older Rhaenyra more than I bought older Allison, as in, which is to say,
continuations of the characters.
I felt like the new Rhaenyra was the younger one grown up, and I didn't really have to do any mental work to get there. Older Allison was so much more strident and was so much more aggressive that it did throw me a little bit more. But I acclimated pretty quickly, and I did like the episode. And as Marty just says, these time jumps are ridiculous. So, there is a diversity of opinion, there's a plurality of opinion going on here. Any standouts for you among the new actors, Daniel and everyone out there? Which one of the new actors, whether it be someone playing an old character or a brand spanking new character, stood out to you?
I mean, I think I really liked Nana Blondell as Lena Valerian. I wish we had more time with her, which the showrunner, Ryan Condal, said he wished that we had more time with Nana Blondell as Lena. But, they're telling such a broad story. They have to keep moving. She was probably a standout. Laenor was a standout for me. John McMillan.
He was good. I liked him. Yeah.
I'm just going to list all of the recasts because they were so good.
That's
Olivia Cook. Yeah, Olivia Cook, Emma Darcy, they were all great. I think Lane is the standout for me. She's the one I'm going to come back to. How about you?
I mean, it's weird because at once I'm the most thrown by Allison, Olivia Cook. I also thought she gave the best performance. I think Olivia Cook was really, really strong. I mean, she just kind of
There's a reason so many people are talking about her.
Yeah, like she really held that episode down. Like just her. Also, I should read this because In our small council,
Ooh, read a
Sabrina
thing.
gave the best take on older Allison. I'm just going to read it. This is a preview of a post going up in a couple of days.
Okay. This is Sabrina. She's on the CW Spiral podcast, if you're into that as well.
Very intelligent watcher. Here is this woman who was told by her father that duty comes before autonomy and agency. For herself, she's seen that play out for these past 10 years. She's married her best friend's father for the sake of her family's upward mobility and because she was left with little choice. Then you have Rhaenyra, who's doing her duty, yes, but is also flagrantly violating the laws of marriage and succession in full view of king and country and is unapologetic about it. I'm going to keep reading. This is going on for a minute, but I swear it's going to get good. I mean, it's already good. It's going to get even better. Everyone knows Rhaenyra's children aren't Laenor's by blood and that their biological father is Harwin Strong, and yet no one will say anything. So you have Allison watching child after child be born, and she's expected to stay quiet about it because, God forbid, Rhaenyra be held accountable for her behavior the way every other woman is. It's driving Allison up a wall because it flies in the face of everything she was told about how her gender moves through the world. Last paragraph. But the thing is, Rhaenyra's treatment by her father is that of a prince of the realm. She's his heir. Her place in the social hierarchy trumps her gender in ways Allison will never be afforded, regardless of the fact that she's queen. That's power. It's holding on by a thread only because Viserys refuses to acknowledge what he knows to be true, but it's power nonetheless, and it's a threat to Allison's understanding of the world she lives in, because if it's possible to defy the rules of their society, then she did actually have a choice to marry Viserys, and she chose wrong. Oh, I thought that was so good. That actually did really help me get a bit of a grip on older Allison. Yeah, it's not just that she was like sort of nice and now she's awful. She's having like this existential drama play out.
Yes.
Kind of like watching Rhaenyra be so brazen, and I just really like that. I really like that a lot. So that helped me.
That is so on point.
I do think that the actress Olivia Cook is doing a great job, and I just love that description. But yeah, it's not just that Allison is mean; it's that her conception of the world is being kind of like attacked on all sides by the very existence of these kids who, like, we all know what they are, like everyone can see it. Am I taking crazy pills? That kind of thing. So yeah, that helped me, and I'm fully on board for what comes next. Can I another more question from Cassandra says, I think from one of the official podcasts, the showrunner said they weren't considering having younger versions to start with, so that's a plus for an audience. Oh, interesting. Oh, Daniel, did you have any comment, Daniel, on any of that?
Man, yeah, I think it's absolutely on point in terms of Allison's feeling like her worldview is being attacked. I'm if I remember right, one of the people attached to the production did talk about that at one point, how part of the reason this just gets under Allison's skin is because she has not had the free pass to live her life the way Rhaenyra has throughout the show. So yeah, having her worldview kind of challenged in that way, because it's interesting, right? Because Rhaenyra is not actually doing anything untoward to Allison. For Allison to be this upset, there's the question of the succession, of what she would do to Aegon and his brothers if Rhaenyra assumed power, et cetera. But Allison, it clearly gets under her skin on a personal level. So yeah, Sabrina, I think she definitely hit that nail on the head. I can't wait to see, that these accusations are not going to stay whispered for long. So I'm very excited to see how people like Viserys react when people actually say these things outright, because it's going to happen probably sooner rather than later.
I liked Nicole's comment too, that Allison is jealous of Rhaenyra's freedoms and power. No one likes a jealous, bitter woman who thinks they know better. Knowing this doesn't make her any more likable as a character, unfortunately. See, maybe this is just me, but I've always, when I'm watching a show or movie or anything, I'm always less interested in, like, do I like this person than am I interested in this person? So for me, if I can like understand what makes a character go, I'm in, even if they suck. So that's why I'm kind of interested in Allison. And I think Kristen Cole is just a garbage character. It doesn't make any sense to me. But so that's kind of where I come from. Can I ask you a question, you, Daniel, and everyone else out there? Someone asked,
What's up?
and I think they've gone back up. Someone said, it might have been Nicole, said they wish there'd been a full season of just the younger leads. Do you think we should have had that?
Yes.
Because I've gone back and forth. You do. Ooh, explain yourself. Show your work.
I don't actually.
Oh, you don't?
I don't. I think on the one hand, I can totally see why people want that. And I think it makes sense that people want that because the younger leads were so magnetic. On the other hand, this is a story. One, the time jumps are clearly working from a buzz perspective because it has generated an enormous amount of buzz, this stuff.
Get that money.
Get that money. Storytelling wise, though, this House of the Dragon is telling the story of the Dance of the Dragons, right? So the civil war between House Targaryen branches. If we got a whole season of the younger cast members, we wouldn't get to the dance until like season 3. And I think that would be taking too long to get into the meat of the story. So I can understand why they did it this way, even though I think a lot of people wish there are just different things we all wish we could have gotten more of, whether that's character relationships or the younger actors. Making the hard choices creatively. What do you think?
I agree with you more or less. And I mean, so one of my little like idle hobbies is, and I always do this with like any show I watch or book or whatever. Like if I like it, but I have some issues, I like go in my head and I'd be like, how would I change that?
What
so
would
I
I
kind
do?
of like did a little. I mean, I love doing that. It's good fodder for my job.
Yes, it is.
And I have some things that I've changed, that I've written up how I think they should have done Kristen Cole differently. But I've been trying to figure, like, could they have stretched it out? Could they have made it? And I never got anything. I never got anything that worked. Because I agree with you. Like, I do just kind of knowing where the story goes and where they have to get, as fun as it would be, I don't think it would have been the right call to have a full season of the younger leads, because they do have to get to stuff that's coming up to kind of get into the meat of the story. I think it was the right call. As maybe like even like one other episode, I think would have been too much. I would have liked a few more scenes here and there of different stuff, but I don't think you could really have a full season of the younger people and like make it out the other side, having told the story you actually wanted to tell. I don't think it would have been possible. But I get the impulse, and I tried.
Well, think about it this way. So if we got a whole season of the younger leads, where would the cutoff have been? So the events that we're seeing are still basically the major events that lead up to the Dance of the Dragons. So if the younger leads time got stretched out, that means that one of the things we've seen already probably would have had to be the end of the season. Does that make sense? Yeah. So like what would have been a season finale that we've seen so far? The wedding? Like
Dressgate,
that's just okay, but it's
tournament.
it's not going to be as good as like basically a coup, which starts the Dance of the Dragons, which is what we're going to
have
see.
You watched The Crown? I mean, the season finale in those are like a bunch of British people in a room being quiet and polite to each other, but like someone is a little bit intense and things get awkward. Like you can do it.
Yeah.
Just it might not fit the Game of Thrones ethos.
Yeah, they've got a difficult kind of balance to walk between substance and spectacle. And we've seen how that can go awry in different ways. So yeah, it's tricky. A lot of the people in the comments are saying Christian saying, I agree, one full season of younger cast members. Yeah, Jackie's saying yes, full season of younger leads. It's a pretty common opinion, I think. Yes. Well, and Julie is into Fire and Blood. This is a tricky thing too, where I wonder how that is divided between book readers and non-book readers, because knowing what we're working toward, it's like, yeah, full season sounds great with the younger leads, but I want to see blood and cheese, and I want to see all these other things that we know are coming. Versus, people who haven't read the books, where it's just those younger leads were so great. I love to watch them. I wish I could watch them more. So yeah, it's
we also
tricky.
have an
I can
important comment
understand
from
why
sorry,
it was a tough
go on.
call. No.
It was
Comments.
We had an important comment from Mohammed Akrad, who says, "Hi, Dan Selcke." Hi.
Ooh, that is an
important
one.
I think you had one other point you wanted to make. Something about dragons.
Something about dragons. Yeah. So let's talk about dragons for a sec. We know, and this is from like comments from the showrunner, from George and stuff before the season aired. We're going to see 9 dragons this season. There will be more next season. But we've met 6 so far.
Can you name them?
Which means we have 3: Caraxes, Cyrax, Sea Smoke, Melees, Vagar, and Vermax.
Look
and
at that.
Dreamfire. So we've met 7. I lied. So there are 2 more dragons we have to meet. Well, if it's not Dreamfire, it's some other dragon. Everyone online saying Dreamfire, so I'm going to go with the flow. But even if it's not, that's still a different one. So what do we think the 2 other dragons we're going to meet are? Any guesses?
One is definitely Lucerys's dragon, Rhaenyra's second son, because I know that gets involved in something. The 9th one, I don't know. Smaug. What do you think?
I'm trying to look up the name of Lucerys's dragon. Arax.
Hey, we're gonna meet Arax.
Because I wanted to know. We're gonna meet
the other
Arax.
The other ones I don't know. Who can I? Because Dreamfire is Helena's dragon.
Sunfire.
Oh, of course.
Maybe
Sunfire will meet him. Yeah. All right, bitch.
That's my guess. The most beautiful dragon. I hope we get more Cyrax. We haven't seen Cyrax since like episode 2.
I think so. I mean, Cyrax doesn't really play a giant role in it. We might. I mean, there's a lot of dragons to go around. 9, man, that is fun. It's fun now that we're getting a little menagerie going. Now that we're actually going to see like a huge lineup of these things. That'll be cute.
Yeah.
Before we move on, someone said, like Karen says, they could have shown more of the wedding. I agree, but I don't think you needed a whole other like episode or season of the younger cast to do that. Like, I wanted more scenes, but not more everything. Where is Cyrax? She's around, Cassandra. She'll pop up on shore. Did we see?
Have you seen
Bela's dragon? Tebontina asks.
Call.
I guess we could see her too. Moon Dancer, right?
We could. Yeah, Moon Dancer. So that's one.
Sounds very hippie.
I don't know if we'll see. Yeah, so Moon Dancer's around, but whether we'll see them this season, I'm not sure. They're just, like I said, there are 2 more we haven't seen that we know are coming, and that's pretty much confirmed. Nice. So I don't know if Moon Dancer is going to be one of those 2, but we'll definitely see them next season, if not this season.
Or season 3, it's in the big scene, I think. It's just fun to have like a whole lineup of mascots, isn't it? God, I'd be so happy. Just
gotta catch them all.
Exactly. If I'm HBO, I'm thinking lunchboxes. I'm thinking backpacks. I'm thinking AR games. They already have kind of. I'm thinking lunch.
Where are we selling these lunch? This is not a
kids still have lunchboxes? It doesn't matter.
He's selling lunchboxes too.
Weird adults. We're selling them to weird adults.
Okay. That's fair. They've got lunchbox
hoodies. I'm thinking shirts. I'm thinking I don't know. What else do you have? I don't know. Little fidget spinners, or after the dragons. Are those still hip? I'm just thinking merchandising everywhere. I'm thinking Funkos, obviously.
Yeah.
H must be so
obviously.
Happy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Man, I would.
That's a good question.
Get in on
Before we move on to the next topic, okay, I want to read 2 comments. First, Mohammed on YouTube says, "Green team forever. Long live our king Aegon, the 2, and our queen Allison Hightower, the hottest new Danny." Ooh, throwing down the gauntlet. I am a little concerned that the greens are coming off as like complete villains, and the blacks are a little better. But then again, Sabrina was so insightful about Allison. I'm kind of changing my mind. So hopefully that'll improve. But then again, like the The Greens have monsters like Laris Strong and complete black holes like Kristen Cole. Like no one's that bad on the other side. So it could be a problem going down the line, but we'll see what happens. And then I also wanted to read Robert Harris says, I believe I saw you all day. You think they cut Darren? Because if not, we could see Viserion. So do you think they've cut Darren Targaryen, Daniel? Because that is the fourth child and youngest son of Allison and Viserys. I'm actually not sure.
Yeah. So I am not positive. What I will say is Darren's not going to be in this season. That's what I'm sure about. Well, Darren is like the only Targaryen kid who doesn't have a casting listing on HBO's website. So I think it is safe to say we're not going to see Darren this season. I've seen people say he could be in Old Town because he goes there to serve as a cupbearer. That's possible. I don't think it's impossible that Darren's still in the show. But we're not good. I saw this theory and I like this, that we might get confirmation next episode if Darren's around. If he's in Old Town and Otto is coming around from Old Town, there could be a good opportunity for a one or two throwaway lines about, hey, how's Darren, that kid I sent to be a cupbearer, doing? From if
Allison. They don't, it's gonna be weird. If they don't at least mention him, it's gonna feel like they're doing it on purpose. So I hope they at least mention him, or Otto says like, I'm so sorry you lost your fourth child. Darren would have been to grow up be so strong, like something, so I can stop wondering.
Yeah, I think we'll get confirmation this season whether Darren is in the show or not, but we're not going to see him this season for sure.
Thank you, Mohammed. Yes, hit the likes, everyone. Love it.
Yeah, subscribe if you haven't.
Subscribe.
So
hit the bell.
One other thing. So do you think, just before we move on to our next thing, which is apparently some other show that's not this
different show. Yeah, weird.
So there's one more time jump coming. So for you guys out there who were confused by the time jump, we're gonna give you the heads up now. There's one more that is coming. I saw someone say online today that it is 6 years. I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere. Have you?
No, I haven't. I mean, in that case, the guy playing Aemond is like 25 playing 14. But there's
that's true.
Probably between 7 and 8. And happily after that, no more.
Yeah, presumably.
That Kristen Cole's going to be well preserved.
Yes, he takes care of himself. He dines on hatred and bullying children.
You think hatred would like make your skin go bad, but not so.
Hey, I don't make the rules.
They better give him some white streaks in his hair.
Man, that's a good point with the whole 6 year thing about Aemond. Like, that no way is that dude playing a 15-year-old, because Aemond, so we know like Aemond is like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
He can't be older than 9 because he wasn't born before the 10-year time jump. So 9 at the oldest. 6 years makes him 15, and there's no way Osferth from The Last Kingdom is a 15-year-old.
Yeah, Ewan Mitchell is not going to pass for 15. Get out of here with that 21 Jump Street nonsense. So I think it's a little older than that.
He could be 18 or 19. He's got that baby face.
Maybe.
But he doesn't look that young. So I do wonder, he hangs out with Kristen Cole, so he's going to get the hatred from him, and that'll help him, it'll have the opposite effect on him where it ages him prematurely.
You think hatred makes you look younger, huh? Okay.
It depends. It all depends on how you season it, I guess.
Yes, that's the important bit, the seasoning. All right.
Yes,
so Daniel,
scientific discussion.
Are there other TV shows happening on Earth?
Maybe one or two that might be worth talking about. We touched on Rings of Power a little bit. It's still going. We'll talk about it a little more in a minute. But there is one that I am very curious about that you have seen that I have not seen. I have not seen what you have seen. which is
I like that line as travel.
yeah, that line's got legs. So Andor, and I need to preface this by saying you are normally the poo-pooer of Disney things and Star Wars, but you have been talking up Andor a little bit and saying you like it. So what's the deal? Is Andor worth checking out?
Yes. So there's this new short show called Star Wars Andor. I guess surprised that you haven't checked it out. I guess you're not a real fan.
So many shows.
So many shows. Yeah.
It's true.
It's and I was pretty skeptical ahead of time. It's about Cassian Andor, a guy from the movie Rogue One, which I fully fell asleep to in the theater. I did. That literally happened. And there was a lot of talk beforehand about how it's a different kind of Star Wars. It's grittier. It's slimier. It's more. There's sex in it. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm sure Disney, whatever. I watched the book of Boba Fett. I was very not terribly impressed. I skipped Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, fair.
I watched the 4th episode today. This show has a vision of a very specific vision about, people rebelling against, not just people rebelling against a autocratic empire. Some of the best characters I've seen have been who are working for the empire and are trying to maneuver inside. Cool. And they're not just heroes in waiting. They're kind of opportunistic kind of ladder climbers who believe in this and want to go further, which I think you can kind of fall short of in a lot of shows where just you want to write a villain. They're either going to be a complete ass or they're going to be clearly have a heart of gold and switch sides at one point. I like that the characters in this show, they're just living their lives and their jobs happen to be squeaking out rebel scum. And I'm really intrigued by that. We got nice. Qyburn from Game of Thrones in there doing a great officious, orderly British Imperial commander. We have one character. I'm gonna look up his name because I like him so much. I'd just stand by. No, don't stand by. I'll entertain you while I look for this. How will I do it? I don't know. I'll think of something between now and jokes. His name is Cyril Karn. The names on Star Wars are really weird to me. Cyril Karn.
That's part of the charm.
He's this brooding, eternally upset imperial corporate private police officer who believes in the petty statism of the empire, but he's just so sad about it and so uptight and angry all the time. It's really compelling. I think he's my favorite guy. There are characters on this Andor show who are not Andor who I think are really interesting, which I did not expect because Star Wars shows tend to be, or Disney in general, it's just that they tend to be so kind of cheap in the way they frame things, and they know that they want to give you the crowd pleasing moment. They want to make the little endorphins in your brain go wave their hands in the air like they just don't care. And this show is taking its time to set up these conflicts, to develop these completely new characters, and it hasn't had anything about any lightsabers or Jedi mind tricks or anything. Nice. I've really been liking it a lot, and I'm impressed by it. And I didn't think I would be saying that. I'm not going to go back and watch Obi-Wan Kenobi probably. Just I don't know. And it feels different because the Book of Boba Fett felt first it felt like kind of the Mandalorian but worse, and then it just literally became the Mandalorian.
Yes.
This one just feels like a different show. I said it before and I still say it again. It doesn't feel like Star Wars at all, and I think it's a compliment.
Yeah, that's so it's really fascinating that Disney has had 3 different Star Wars shows come out this year and they're all so different. So Boba Fett, like you said, that was almost like a Mandalorian stopgap. What other very famous Mandalorian can have their own show that everybody loves, and he already sells lots of toys, so he's a safe bet. But we can't leave Baby Yoda out for a season. So it did basically become The Mandalorian season 2.5. And then Obi-Wan,
stupid.
I think Obi-Wan and Andor, they're like two sides of the coin for Disney's approach here. And I hope they learn from this, because Obi-Wan, it was all fan service, 110% a fan service show. I think it was cool to see Ewan McGregor back. What? Don't hate it?
Sorry, just no. Don't need it. I don't need it. But
you don't need it. Yeah. Well, I don't know that anyone needed it. The best thing about it was obviously seeing the prequel characters back. Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen were great, but the show, it didn't have the strength of vision, which I feel like is what Andor really seems to have. Because a couple months back we were joking about this, about how Andor was the only one that like had multiple seasons announced way ahead of time. So it's like, what a weird show to like put a bunch of eggs in the basket for, Disney. Like, this is a show about a random character from Rogue One. That
what
no one
compromising photos does Tony Gilroy have of the Lucasfilm executives?
Yeah, but hearing you talk about it, it's like, that was kind of the thing with Rogue One as well. It was a bunch of no-name characters or made-up characters that he really just focused on making a fleshed out, compelling thing that was different. Like Rogue One, it's not my favorite Star Wars movie, but it's probably the edgiest Star Wars movie. Like, it ends with everyone dying. That doesn't happen in any Star Wars. So yeah, I'm intrigued. Hearing you talk about it too, I'm like, all right, if this Star Wars show is getting Dan, it must be actually really good.
I'd be curious to hear what you think about it if you end up watching it. So if you can find time, I recommend it.
I will.
Some commenters are saying that they're watching Dahmer. You didn't watch Dahmer, did you?
I didn't watch Netflix? Dahmer. Man, I'm torn.
It is popping off.
It is popping off. I haven't watched it. I've seen people who are in the family members of victims talking about how the show was made against their will. And that just makes me be like, I'm not.
I side-eye it pretty hard. Ryan Murphy has his talents, but tastefulness is not one of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know. No, so just a guy tackling a real story with real victims of real import. I wouldn't do it. Also, there's a scene, but toward the end where Dahmer meets John Wayne Gacy. Never happened. Never.
Okay.
That's violating serial killer mythology.
So you're saying that this
person
who made that documentary,
we have our serial killer
they saw
here.
The Batman. They were like, look at the Joker and the Riddler meeting. That's a good idea. Let's put that in the Dahmer documentary.
It's probably cool, but I haven't watched it, and I sort of object to it on moral grounds.
Same. That you summed up my thoughts exactly.
I'm
happy for anyone who's enjoying it. Oh,
I have an uncle who was present. He worked in a prison for John Wayne Gacy's execution. That's fun, right?
Whoa, that is a specific like life thing to have. Like, all right. That's a murder. Cocktail party fact to drop. I love murder
over a hard drink.
Signed, take the black. Yeah. So Andor. Do you want to say anything else about Andor before we talk about other shows and such?
I'm liking it, and it's going to go on for a while, 12 episodes. So good for it for breaking the mold. I guess maybe you can make a show in a franchise's old and sort of tired at times of Star Wars and come up with something new.
That's awesome. I can't wait. You're getting me pumped. But okay, so aside from Andor, what else are we watching?
I mean, that's about. I'm watching on Hulu the Reboot. Have you heard of this?
Rings a bell, but what is it?
I heard about it from the AV Club. It's Keegan-Michael Key is like the star. It's a show about Hollywood, and they're rebooting an old fictional sitcom, and it's just he follows the actors and the showrunner and the the new writer who's trying to make it like a gritty reboot of like an old Full House style sitcom. They're all older.
Yeah.
And like the cute kid who was the cute kid in the original is now like a sort of maladjusted early 20 something. And it's been I like it. It's funny. It has the kind of the dark but not too dark bite that I kind of need in my comedy. Because I tried to watch Abbott Elementary too, sitcoms, and it's nice, but I don't know. I need a little bit less nice and just a bit more punch. But I'm liking the reboot.
That's fair. Cool.
How about you?
Been watching. What have I been watching? So obviously, current on the Rings of Power. It's decent. I hope to have a lot more to say about that next week.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what were you mad about? Tell us.
Stupid twist with the Mithril is Silmaril rock. It took me. Why would you do that? Why? Just it. I understand why a Tolkien scholar would walk off. Like, just you don't need to change it like that. Why would you mesh the mythology like that? Why? Without any good reason.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's going to be a fluke, like a con of some kind, just to get the mithril. That's not actually true. But at the same time, I didn't like that either. It felt like that's one of the things where I felt like the show started losing me, because that does feel like taking a relatively innocuous but valuable thing that everyone knows from the Lord of the Rings story and saying, we're going to give it a lot more import so that you, the fans, will get excited when we talk about it. I didn't like it. It felt like weird fan service of the wrong kind. Yeah. Lacking respect.
Which is like a dumb complaint to make. It's like respect for the elves and the hobbits and the dwarves, but also respect the elves and the hobbits and the dwarves a little more. Jeff,
the kickback on that show is unwarranted. It is exponentially too high. I think I saw someone say that the Lord of the Rings of Power has no redeeming qualities, and I just laughed because like you can't.
It's not go crazy
if you actually think that. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I've also been watching What We Do in the Shadows, which is hilarious.
Isn't it a good show?
Yeah, that show's it's so good. I think I'm on season 3, so that's kind of been like a fun background show to just throw on. It's been really funny, enjoying it a lot. What else? She-Hulk is still on. That's still a thing. Are you still watching She-Hulk? Did you fall off?
No, I'm still watching just because, Thursday at lunch, half hour, bing bam boom, it's done. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would even have a long discussion about it. It's cute.
Yeah, it's cute. The last episode was pretty much a filler episode. They straight up winked at the audience and said, this is going to be a filler episode.
Okay, fine. You brought it up. That's dumb. Like, I thought it's a sitcom. Like, every episode is just a funny situation. Like, what do you mean? This is no more filler than anything else they've done. That didn't make any. I do not like the little winks. I don't get it. Why? What's the point? It's like when Deadpool does it kind of like transgressive or just like it because it's in the middle of like a. There's no reason for her to do it. I don't get it. I don't get that. And then when she does it, she says stupid things like, this is a filler episode. What do you mean? It's just, every episode has been light and like airy and nothing. How is this more filler than anything else? Did the filler episode.
So, okay. So She-Hulk broke the fourth wall in the comics. So that is why they're doing it. And in that regard, I'm okay with it. There are times it works for me and times it doesn't. The filler thing was one where it didn't, because I was like, okay, that's like, are you joshing me that it's a filler? And then it just was a filler episode. And I was like, I don't know how to feel about this.
How is it a filler episode? Sorry, I don't want to be too aggressive. Just
No.
How is it filler to you? And like the one before that wasn't.
I think a big part of it is the teases they set up. I think they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot with these, because you're right that each one is its own situation, but
like a sitcom,
a lot of the situations are relevant in the bigger sense, like either working with Abomination, who is a long-term MCU villain, her dealing with getting transformed, her seeing Wong, but yes, they're still fillery. But I think the problem with this one is that the episode before teased Daredevil, and then this episode basically ended by teasing something we already knew, which is that people are out there who want her blood.
But like Titania is part of a long running plot, and she played a big role in it. That's story progression.
That's true. That's true. True enough. I don't know. That's just how it felt to me, Dan. What do you want? Is this a
wrong.
Court of law? Okay,
no,
that's fair.
It's court of public opinion, which is much more dicey. And we got
Much
people
more.
saying in the comments, Julie is sort of excited for The Witcher coming up soon, which is Blood Origin, which I'm sort of excited too. We got Christian watching The Quantum Leap, which I do hear is pretty cool. I haven't watched that yet, but I just like the original show. Anything else anybody is watching wants to sound off on before we move on to our final piece?
The only other thing I haven't watched yet, but will be watching probably this weekend, is Avatar, which is back in theaters.
Right.
I'm a huge Avatar stan. I saw it in theaters when it first came out many times. If you haven't seen it in 3D, as James Cameron would say, you really haven't seen it. As ridiculous as that sounds, I actually do agree with him. I put off watching it on a home screen for years because I didn't think it would be the same, and it isn't quite the same.
I mean, so it's granted, it's not the same. I don't think it not being the same is the same as you haven't seen it. Like, no, I saw it. I just didn't see it the way it's in theaters. James Cameron talking down to me, condescending, want my 3D glasses money, ain't gonna get it.
Nah. Okay. So let's have this talk, because I will defend Avatar. I will die on this hill. So the reason it's different watching it at home is because an integral element of its storytelling is missing. Avatar is one of the only movies that actually used the 3D in a way that is integral to the experience of watching it. And we're not talking like bullets flying off the screen. Like in terms of the immersion of the story, the 3D is important. And it's in every single scene. So that's why you haven't seen it, but you haven't seen the full experience of all of the aspects of it they were trying to convey with the movie. Does that make sense?
It does. And I agree with you that the 3D is used way better than any other 3D. And it's part of this. It's part of the experience, part of the story. Yes. I think a lot of filmmakers like overestimate how much people care about their cool toys and visuals they're using. The story of Avatar is disabled army man gets put into blue person, rides alien bird, and shacks up with Zoe Saldana, and then Sigourney Weaver dies. Like, that's the story. Like, and you can get the story whether you watch it on your phone or on a theater. I agree you're not getting the full experience. But that's not the same thing as you haven't really seen it. No, you really saw it, and maybe you'd care if you saw the 3D. Maybe you wouldn't. I bet a lot fewer folk would care than James Cameron or like people in general would expect. Really quick sidebar. I've got to hope it's fast. We got to get to that lightning round. So I used to like watch the commentaries for Buffy the Vampire Slayer back in the day. I have the DVDs.
You don't need to lower your voice to say that proudly. Okay.
It's embarrassing. And there's one bit where they're in the library and like they are shooting the characters through this like stacks of books. And the commentary person is like, we were always looking for ways to like make the library set more interesting visually because we're in there all the time and it's so boring. And I'm like, not once did I ever care about this. Like, if the story is good, who cares if there are things in the way? I feel like that's part of the reason why the House of Dragon folk wanted to do a wedding, not another tournament, because they're like, we already did a tournament. It would be boring. Like, no, it wouldn't.
I agree with
do what the story needs to get done. It doesn't matter. We don't care about like the visual variety as much as you think we do.
Yes. So I agree with that. Obviously, at a certain point, it's filmmakers being filmmakers. I definitely think James Cameron is guilty of that. You know, they basically invented new tech to make Avatar 2.
3D,
so he's
like
definitely
3D.
Guilty of that. So what you said about it being integral to the story, yeah, that's fair. You get the same story, but in terms of how the story's told, it's a little different because half of the appeal of Avatar is the immersion. It's the being transported to that world in a way that you can only do with the 3D. And now I will get off the hill because you're not going to go 3D, see Avatar.
I thought it was fine.
I am.
Gotcha.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. So shall we lightning?
We got it.
It's at the time. Okay. Let's see. I organized these. You ask me first this time.
Work. Okay. We give our 20-second impressions of these news stories. Daniel, it's the big one. 20 seconds on the clock. Hugh Jackman will return as Wolverine in Deadpool 3, coming out September 6th, 2024.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine. This seems like the perfect way to do it because Deadpool breaking that fourth wall. He'll make lots of jokes about it. And they have great chemistry, those two. They've had a joke war going back and forth for years. So
yes, they're in love.
That's going to be awesome.
Watch that.
Yeah. All right, Dan. AMC is making an Interview with the Vampire show. And they just renewed it for season 2 before season 1 even aired.
Yeah, lots of confidence. Interview with the Vampire. I am curious. I will try and watch this. It's the new TV version of Anne Rice's 1970 classic, Interview with the Vampire. Jacob Anderson, Grey Worm is Louis, and other people are different characters. Cool. I wonder if they're going too hard, too fast, because just let's watch the show and see if it's any good at all first. But I'm intrigued.
That's fair.
All right.
Going all in.
Speaking of The Witcher, Julie, The Witcher season 3 is coming in the summer of 2023. And the prequel show, Blood Origin, is coming out this year on December 25th. Merry Christmas, Witcher fans.
Yeah, getting Blood Origin on Christmas. It's going to be 4 episodes. I'll watch it. I'm curious. It's got Michelle Yeoh, and she's awesome in basically everything. and then season 3, I think they're trying to get the House of the Dragon slot for next year because House of the Dragon and Rings of Power won't be on next summer.
Smart.
Smart. All right, Dan. So Game of Thrones alum Jerome Flynn, that's Bronn, he is joining the Yellowstone prequel 1923.
Yellowstone is such a popular show, you guys. It's one of those ones that's kind of watched by people of a certain age. I don't feel like it's not like a Twitter discourse about it, but it's huge. This is a good gig. Jerome Flynn's going to be joining Harrison Ford and Dame Helen Mirren in the 1923 Yellowstone prequel. Good for him.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Sorry, I skipped ahead of this.
That's okay.
Daniel, Minnie Driver is joining the cast of The Witcher Blood Origin prequel show as an off-screen narrator.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those things that came about when they overhauled Blood Origin in the past couple of months because they just announced Minnie Driver will just be reading off screen. She won't appear in the show, but she's a narrator and an actual character who will help tie this show into the present day show. She's basically a story gathering creature of some kind.
Good for Minnie Driver. Wonder if her older brother Maximum Driver will be involved. Okay. Next up. Oh, okay, interesting. David, you left.
Wait, I'm reading you this one.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Because I have no idea what this is.
Oh, sorry.
David Cronenberg is producing a Scanners TV series for HBO. What is that, and why do we care?
Oh, Scanners is great. That one GIF where the guy's head explodes is from Scanners. It makes its way around. It's a story about mutants who have psychic powers. And David Cronenberg is a long history. He gets like this body horror stuff from the 70s. He has like Videodrome and kind of a feature, like really cool filmmaker. I'll watch it. HBO, come on, HBO, cool. Scanners.
Nice.
Okay. Sorry about that. Oh, here's another story. James Earl Jones is retiring from voicing Darth Vader, but an AI generated version of his voice will continue to appear in Star Wars until we all turn to dust.
Yeah. I I feel weird about this. On the one hand, James Earl Jones is the voice of Darth Vader. On the other hand, immortalizing an actor so that we will always hear their voice as a character feels weird, and like it's poaching work from voice actors. I don't know. I have real complicated feelings. And
Yeah.
all right.
Good point.
Yeah. So the final lightning, the last bolts, may it strike somewhere safe. So HBO has revealed the first full trailer for their new series, The Last of Us, based on the best-selling video games by Naughty Dog. Is this, Dan, so you've played Last of Us. Is this going to be one of the next big series from HBO?
I mean, they got Scanners, they got The Last of Us. It could be. They're putting a lot of effort into it, and a lot of money. I mean, I like The Last of Us. People seem to really love it. I'll watch it. I think it's too early to tell, but I'm interested. I'll look forward to it. Great pedigree, great actors, Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, HBO that polish. Sure, bring it. And that is our show. We got some fun sidetracks in there. Avatar Talk 3, Vampire Slayer books, Maximum Driver, because I kind of didn't like that one. I thought it was pretty bad too, but I mean, Daniel laughed his ass off, so maybe
I did because it was so bad.
Okay, gotcha.
No, well, sometimes, you just got to get slapped in the face by a bad joke.
That's the point of it. The point was that it was bad.
Yes.
Anyway, for more of this, you can tune in to watch us every Wednesday here at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Winter is Coming Facebook page and the Winter is Coming YouTube page. We're also doing, for the remainder of the season of House of the Dragon Season 1, reviews of every single episode in those same places right after they air. And, I mean, if that's not enough, you can download us in podcast form wherever podcasts are available, be it Google Play, iTunes, whatever. That's our show. We said what we came here to say. Maximum Overdriver. See you next time.